and pomegranate. It's an easy and delicious way to keep your digestion on track. And for those on the go, try D365. D365 is life change tea in a capsule. Drink the tea or take D365 capsules and keep your digestion running smoothly. Go to getthetea.com and enter discount code USA to get 10% off any size order. That's getthetea.com, discount code USA for 10% off your order.
Hello, I'm Mike Calzone, owner of the 5-Star Baths. We are the best choice among bathroom remodeling contractors. We serve Nashua, New Hampshire, and nearby city. We're based in Nashua, New Hampshire. Our local remodeling company has experience providing customized bathroom makeovers that can enhance the convenience, comfort, and style of that bathroom. During our many years in the industry, we've perfected our craft, so we know how to deliver exactly what our customers are looking for. Simply partner with us, and your dream bathroom will soon become a reality. Please check out pictures of our jobs online at 5starbaths.com. That's F-I-V-E starbaths.com or 5-Star Baths on Facebook.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped? Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5 6-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did. And I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266. That's 203-241-1266. Or visit my website, nascent24.com, NASCENT24.com. There is a solution. Take the first step. You won't regret it.
Hello, I'm Jim Pullen of Surrogate Sons and Daughters. Are you or a loved one facing the decision to move to assisted living? As we age, we can't do it alone, and a little help can make the difference to maintain independence. Surrogate Sons and Daughters are here to help. Plainly, we are stand-in sons and daughters for hire, advocates to help you age in place. Learn more about us at surrogatesonsanddaughters.com or call me, Jim, at 603-688-7399. That's 603-688-7399.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ryan Pratt, owner of 603 Chiropractic, and I believe that you are designed to be healthy. In fact, health is normal. Sickness is abnormal. Health is defined as optimal function, and function is regulated by your brain and spinal cord. Your spine is like your suit of armor for your spinal cord. And when it's not healthy, this can produce pain and various other symptoms. As a chiropractor, I've helped thousands of people go from unhealthy to healthy and pain-free by simply improving the health of their spine. If you're living with chronic pain, or if you feel like you're dragging yourself across the finish line every day, set up a consultation to learn more about how we can help. You can book online at 603chiros.com or call 603-935-5478 and set up your consultation today. Don't put your health on hold. It's your greatest asset. Visit 603chiros.com today.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, as well as Facebook Live and YouTube Live. I am in the studio with my gorgeous co-host Robyn.
Good morning. Thank
wearing
you.
Fantastic
Can you hear me?
boots. Yeah, I can hear you good. I can hear you well.
I know, and now I want all my boots to be over the knee.
I know. I love them. I don't have one pair of over-the-knee boots.
I was going to wear a dress. I was going to wear a sweater dress, and I was like, we're going to have to be in it all. I'll have to be in it all day.
Yeah. So you weren't in the mood.
No, it's too cold.
It is Thursday, and I want to wish my beautiful Aunt Marianne a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We are celebrating for you today, and we'll get together shortly and have a nice lunch or a good time.
A festival.
A festival.
A shopping party.
I was going through photos to put together a little reel on Instagram this morning, and I had went through the photos yesterday, and I have a lot of photos. Instagram would not allow me. They kept saying your video's too long, and I'm like, really? Because I'm trying to make it in the 90 seconds if I make them move kind of fast.
Yes.
But when I synced music to it, it wanted to do it to the music, and then it wouldn't let me put all the photos. But we have a ton of photos.
Oh, yeah. I think I have like 4,000 on my phone.
Yes, and I didn't do any from my phone. These were all from camera.
Wow.
All from camera. So I feel like we have the phone ones kind of access to them all the time, and those ones felt special. So I went digging, and I'm like, man, I was putting everybody in folders for their birthdays, and I'm like, wow, man, I have a lot of, like I said, I could do the whole entire month of birthdays and have 50 photos. Great photos.
That's
of her.
awesome.
Yeah, great photos.
I
So-
love that dress she was wearing, too. That was very pretty.
The one on Wear Your Dress?
Yes. That's
That was
very
beautiful. I know, it was beautiful. And that was my sister-in-law's baby shower.
Oh,
And she matched because we were trying to do blue as a theme.
I love it. Very
Baby
pretty.
boys, baby
very,
boys.
very pretty.
All right. So yesterday was Valentine's Day, which
Yay.
either made everyone feel amazing or feel horrible. It was one of those two options for everybody. I don't know. Like, we talked about it last week where I don't really care. Don't buy me flowers. Don't, that part I don't care about.
Yeah.
Do that on other days. But we still had a nice night. We didn't go to dinner. We just had dinner at the house and
So
a little bit of special time.
I read something, and I actually sent it. Of course, now I'm going to lose it.
Well, I'll tell you, I was talking to a young girl and I said, oh, are you going to go out on a date with your boyfriend? And she's like, we don't go on dates. I'm like, what do you mean you don't go on dates? She goes, we hang out. I go, okay, are you going to hang out with your boyfriend? And she said, well, there's always a group of us. I said, so you're never alone with your boyfriend? I don't think you're boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm like, I think you need some alone time to figure out, and she's like, no, everything's fine. We hook up. And I'm like, yeah, you need to figure out if that relationship works without other people,
Yes.
because otherwise you're just friends who are hooking up.
Well,
That
if
was my
she's-
thought. My old person thought.
Well, but that's true. I think there's a lot of people don't feel the need to connect anymore or like to have a relationship. The need to get married, it's gone by the wayside. I think the importance of family has gone. A family unit, I think, has changed.
Do you think that's partially because the younger generation is so despondent over everything from being able to afford a place to live, like having money, the climate, like what's the point if the planet's going to set itself on fire in 4 years? I do think we've saddled our children with too much responsibility that's not theirs. Like, of course, we're all responsible for the environment and we're all responsible for what we can be responsible for, but we're not teaching that. We're teaching our children that the ice caps are melting and the polar bears are becoming extinct,
Right.
and no solution to help that.
Well, when my children were in middle school, they had a lot of debates, and they had to pick topics. Gun control, abortion. They talked about the environment. Global warming, and the purpose of the debate was to go give both sides. But a lot of times, your grade was reflected if it didn't align with
the popular
belief,
Yes.
or with the teacher was, we don't teach kids to think.
independently.
Yes,
Critical
themselves.
thinking. Yeah, critical thinking. Like, let me take this belief and put it through a series of logical and experiential. I don't know what word I'm trying to say. Like you through your own experience, your own lens, perspective. So this is a perfect topic. When you grew up, Pluto was a planet. We learned about the solar system. We learned about the solar system, and we were graded on the fact that Pluto was a planet. We had to remember that was a planet. We made the science fair every year. There were always 10 kids who had styrofoam balls that they made their mother source, and then they spray painted them, and then they hung them on wire coat hangers and carried them to the school in the wind, right? Because my mother would never drive me on science project day. I had to somehow, so I did not do the solar system because everyone was going to do the solar system. I found this awesome skeleton that you had to build from scratch. It came in bags of bones.
Oh my
And you
gosh.
hung it and you created a skeleton.
Yeah.
And I thought no one's having a skeleton. Everyone's solar system, right? So I thought I was going to win. And not only did I not win, they said this was a man-made project. You didn't make your project. And I'm like, I put together 206 bones, mofo.
Right.
No one put what are you talking about? I had to, and I even showed my
You had to
teacher
get the femur in the
afterwards.
right place.
Right. All of a sudden, you can't have the hands at the feet and the feet at the hands. I mean, it
Right.
was, right? The ribs weren't on backwards. The spine wasn't on backwards. The hip was the right way. And so I really thought life isn't fair. That's that 7th grader. Life is just not fair because that's stupid.
And really what it is you felt like it takes away the enthusiasm.
It does.
takes away that your curiosity or, hey, I'm bringing something really unique and cool and exciting. And boy, you walk in the door and somebody pops your bubble.
Right. And you have 10 solar systems. How does the solar system win? You have 10 of them.
Right.
How is that? I could see me not winning, but chastising me when you have 10 solar systems, that's not original. There's other
Right.
types of science besides that.
Right.
So very jaded
Everybody's
science fair
got,
project. But back to Pluto being a planet, I mean, we were graded. We were told. And then all of a sudden, one day, Pluto's not a planet, and we just dismiss it like, no, I know we believe that, and we taught that, but we were
Right.
wrong. So I think when people come down with this top-down, belief of whatever, that all of a sudden, well, our beliefs have to change and grow as we learn better information.
Yes.
And I don't know why Pluto's not a planet. We can look it up at the break and tell everyone why Pluto's not a planet, because I just heard it wasn't, and then I'm like, I don't even believe this.
I don't even know. It's still going to be a planet in my mind.
No,
aren't they
look it
all just big stars anyway?
But isn't that why planets are different than stars?
Right. They're bigger.
I have to say that I love space, but the minute I start getting into it, I'm like, my mind is going to explode.
Yeah.
My brain is exploding. We were in Florida, and we were walking on the beach because we always walk on the beach to the restaurant, to the bar. We walk on the beach.
Yes.
And there were these people with these Mount Washington style telescopes.
Wow.
Like giant, they had to be transported there and then set up there.
Wow.
And they were like, hey, do you want to come look in our telescope? I'm like, yes, I do.
Absolutely, I do.
And so one was set up for the moon, which was unbelievably big, but all of the other ones were set up to different constellations.
Wow.
And one of them was set up to the birth of a star.
Wow.
Or the birth of a... And I was like, what is all of that? And they were like, that's the birth either of a star or a solar system. I forget now. But it was it looked like 1 million stars swirling. Wow. And you could see that in there. And I'm like, where is this? And they're like, it's however many light years away. I'm like, my mind gets blown with light years.
I know.
My mind can't wrap around light. I understand the concept, but it still blows my mind that what I'm seeing is, however many years old or something. I don't know.
Yes. So do you believe in time travel?
I believe there has to be a mechanism, but I don't know what it would be.
I mean, would our bodies have to change?
Yeah, I don't know if
Like-
our bodies are capable.
No.
I think maybe time travel happens when we are no longer tethered to the human body.
Yes.
That's when it must happen.
Yes.
Like you must be able to. That's when energy. That's
Once
when
we lose our meat suit.
once we lose the meat suit, I think we that's when we can. I don't know if time has a place. I don't know if it's just always. or if it's,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's confusing.
Whenever anyone says, I know Elon Musk got on and said that there's no aliens because he's been out there and there's no proof of life. I'm like, we are a minuscule dot of time.
Yes.
Our existence is like a dot of time, and our ability to go into space has been such a short amount of time. How do we know that the aliens weren't 25 years ago or they're 25 years in the future?
Right.
How is it that, I don't know. I still believe there must be other life forms because look at how much life there is on the planet Earth. Go into the oceans and see how...
Insects, animals, like all animals, all life, eat trees, flowers, plants, everything. All
so
that.
why do we have all of that here and then the rest of the universe is void? I don't believe that.
I don't even know if our whole solar system has been explored.
Well, I know they're looking for they look for X, Y, and Z, and that's how they know there would be life there.
Laser.
Yeah. Number two. I decided that I wasn't going to, I decided I'm not going to put other than my happy birthday to my aunt, because it's her birthday. I'm not going to use people's names. So I'm going to refer to my mother as number one.
Number one.
And I am number two.
I'm number two.
That's so if you now hear me referring to her
Hello,
as
I'm
that.
number two.
I was
like
watching South Park the other day, and I just love Cartman. And I love Cartman's mother.
I should watch it again. It's been so long.
I swear it had been 5 years since I've seen one. And they were talking about ChatGPT last night. I was watching the episode of ChatGPT. Oh, I just love South Park.
It is a good show. I miss it. Like, I don't, their only time to watch TV is at night.
I know, and then you want to fall asleep.
I know.
I'm sitting down finally.
I literally think if I could fall asleep on the couch and just stay asleep like that, I think that's probably some of my best sleep ever.
I sleep the best on the couch. When I can't sleep, I go down and I fall asleep on the couch. And the cat's lying on me like, what are you doing here?
Yes.
I will keep her here until someone else arrives. I don't know why she's here, but he puts his arms all the way around me. He hugs my legs. But he does it the long way. Normally he hugs my leg, like he curls up and then two paws hug a leg.
Oh.
But when I'm on the couch, my whole entire body's hugged by him because he's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're here, but I'm just going to keep her contained.
I got her.
I don't know what's going on.
I got you, Mommy.
Yeah. But Pluto was a planet. That's what they were teaching. Who knows what they're going to teach kids 25 years from now?
Right. And at the end of the day, people will fight over it. It's useless facts. I'm not to say it's not a useless facts. It's interesting, but to go on and have a sparring match or to
don't have a solution. You need a solution. Right. And the solution that I think is strange is when everyone talks about the planet, they'll have all of these things, but they'll make someone drive an iced coffee across town in an Uber because they won't make an iced coffee at home.
Right.
That's not destroying the planet.
Right.
And then, or they'll do or say something like, okay, then we should stop mining the earth for all of the components that live in a phone. We've lived without a phone. Let's just live without a phone again. No, that's not it. That's not, no, those aren't any solutions. But why don't you teach kids like how to make a bee house for mason bees?
Or how to do their taxes.
Or how to do their taxes or balance a checkbook. These would be all useful things the school could teach. Yes. And then we could learn, the children could be 18, have a little bit more of a brain formed to realize that life sucks.
Right. I mean, how many times have we used geometry and calculus? And I mean, unless you're in a career that you do need that. But you know what? I'd say like 95% of the world don't need half the stuff that we learned in there. Let's teach our kids life skills.
I think we should get back to teaching home ec, how to run a household.
I do too.
I think everyone should learn to cook. You don't have to like it. And you don't have to do it forever. But you should be able to sustain yourself in your life. If you choose to.
Well, the kids in high school, they did a semester. They had a cooking class, which was awesome. I don't remember if it was sewing.
I think we should teach sewing a little bit because
if
we don't have to. One of the worst polluters of the planet is fashion.
Don't say that.
I know. I have to say that because it's this, especially disposable clothing. So the dyes, everything that goes into it, and then disposable clothing you're just constantly discarding.
What's oh, like lab coats and all that stuff?
No, I'm thinking
because we had lab coats that were disposable. It's like walking around in tissue paper.
Yeah, that is a little different, but actual clothes that are just so poorly made that you get 1 or 2 washes out of them and you have to throw them away.
That's true. They usually end up rags.
I had one friend who never did laundry because she would buy $7, $8 things at whatever place she was getting really cheap stuff, and she was like, I can't wash this. I'll wear it twice and throw it away. She wears it once during the day and then once at a club, and then it would get all smoky and sweaty, and then she would just toss it.
Wow.
And I'm like, who has time to source clothing? Well, I had multiple jobs. I didn't have time to source clothing like that.
I could shop for it, but I don't want to get rid of something. Like if I got it, like,
and I liked it, the way it fit and everything else. Why would I want to get rid of it?
Yes. It has or you search and search for the perfect color in the right silk. Like I've searched for years for like an emerald green silk kind of dress.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be the right material, has to be the right color, and they don't have a lot of navy blue for women, and I don't think they have a lot of that emerald teal. Not teal, but it's just it's that deep, rich emerald.
Yeah, like a lot of pigment in it.
Yes. It's just vibrant, but it's, to me I think it's more like Caribbean color. Like kind of like Blistex.
Yeah, the Blistex color.
A little bit more green. That's got a little more blue in it. But I finally found one. I'm like, I'm not going to throw that away.
Right. I'm keeping this forever. You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen every Thursday from 10 to noon on WSMN.live, as well as Facebook and YouTube Live. And yeah, our poor kids. That's what I think. I think our poor kids. I think we have generations. I think the greatest generation, who was it, Tom Brokaw? Is it Brokaw? Is there an F at the end? What am I making up? I'm making up that man's name.
Tom Brokaw. I think you just want to say broke.
Oh, we're gonna have to look that up too.
Tom
This is a advanced maternal age brain that you forget someone who's so famous.
Well, our brain can only hold so much information, so we have to let go of some useless.
Is that what's happening?
It might be. Anyway, so what I was saying, when our kids were in, we're talking about how life has changed since we were kids, and I think that we were latchkey kids. A huge population of our generation,
our entire generation was latchkey kids.
And I think that we changed, and maybe that's where the helicopter parenting,
We call it prison release. Like, do those kids have an ankle bracelet? Why can't they be further away from this parent than they are?
Right.
They get an ankle bracelet? They got to be returned to the house at a certain time?
Or it's to get them so busy, and involved in sports that they don't have time for, they don't have time to be bored. They don't have time to decompress. They don't have time for,
imagination
or just being a kid, just playing.
Mm.
It's like, hurry up and grow up. You got to take these classes. You got to do these things. And what I think is at the kids' school, when they were in middle school, they had a project for math. And each student was given a certain amount of money. And they had to grocery shop for a family of 5 for a whole week. So say their budget was $150. And they had to go and purchase nutritional, good, decent meals. You couldn't just be like, oh, I'm just going to get, 18 frozen pizzas. And it had to be planned out. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 5 people. And if there was any money left over, then you could, the goal was to, budget, plan, prepare. And what they did was, so at the end of the week, when they all finished their little task, they all took it down to the share center and they donated all that food. The day that they went shopping, they all shopped, they went and donated the food. And there were 2 or 3 classes and from different schools too. So there's over 100 kids in there. And the lady was, at the share was talking to the kids and talking about dinner and being grateful and, giving these families good meals. And she just said, how many of you in here eat dinner as a family together? And out of all those kids, Kayla came home and said, there's only 3 people that raised their hand. And I had 2 of them.
Oh, that's sad.
Isn't that sad? It's sad thinking, and so this was 10 years ago? That's hard to believe.
That is hard to believe.
It was 10 years ago. And that just left a huge impact. And, because we do meals together if we're going to be, it's important. It's a non-negotiable at our house. I mean, I don't set the rule, but everybody, that's where everybody is. And that's where it's important that we sit down together as a family.
And if you don't do it 7 days a week, you should do it 3 or 4.
Yes.
I think maybe much of that has to do with, like you said, everyone gets scheduled so much that no one's home at dinner.
Yeah, and you're always running here and there and everywhere, and it's not making... And maybe it doesn't even have to be a meal, but it could be something that you're being intentional about.
That's true. Yeah.
10 years ago, it started, if they're not doing meals together, where are they spending time together as a unit? And we're teaching the value of family. We kind of live in a disposable world now. You talk to young kids, high school, college. Nobody's really interested in getting into a relationship. I remember.
I wonder what that's from. I wonder if it's from fear.
Well, I think some of it. One of the kids, their friends, he liked this girl. And I said, well, you should write her a note. Leave it in her locker.
Because girls love notes.
Or stick it in her book. And he's like, no, that would be creepy. She would get creeped out by that. And I was like, what?
Girls love notes.
A note? Not in today's age. And I was like, well, can you just ask her? Like, they would swap Snapchat, but you can't ask for their Snapchat. You can't ask for their socials because then you come across as creepy. And I was like, well, how do you meet? This is in high school.
Right.
If that's starting in high school, but then, you've got Tinder and it's such a, swipe left, swipe right. I don't even know which way it goes for.
Right. When I think about what I'm fascinated with the idea that even took off is, what about chemistry?
Right.
What about that feeling? What about the attraction? What about pheromones? What about...
Because we're living in instant gratification.
I know, but isn't pheromones instant gratification? I smell you over there.
If you're looking for a hookup, do you care how they smell? I mean, I don't know. That's what...
Yes.
That's I do, but... But
don't get any closer.
But if you know that this person is like, well, okay, we might not have the greatest chemistry, but,
how could you even hook up without chemistry?
They're good for a couple of dates. I don't know. But I'm like, they're not wanting to put themselves out there.
But they are by putting a picture of someone that they're swiping. That's out there. It's just out there in the worst possible rejection-oriented way.
Right. Because you don't know anything about me.
Right. You don't know anything about me, so I either... And we know how we had that whole entire 2 hours on photography and how, is this a picture of me, really?
Yeah.
This is me, really, honestly.
I know.
Who put this in my phone? This isn't me.
How's that?
I don't look like that. I see myself in the mirror. I don't look like that. What happened?
I know.
So now we're using that as the please come and date me.
Yes.
Right? You can have a really bad... Some people don't photograph well. Some people photograph beautifully. What if they're just a dud? Like zero...
Physically?
Well...
I mean, like,
have you ever met somebody and they're just like, I don't know, is there anything in there? Is there any substance? Are you interesting or funny or anything?
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I think there are people that are very dull.
Yeah.
I like the sparkle.
Yeah. And how do you tell sparkle on a two-dimensional?
I think that people don't put themselves out. That's not true.
Well, I think there's a lot of projection going on.
Yes.
So if someone sees a picture of someone in Hollywood, or they see an actor, an actress, and they go, oh, I love them. Because you were projecting, based on the way they look, that they're a certain person.
Yes.
When that couldn't be any further from the truth.
Yes.
And I think a lot of getting together whenever, I mean, I know people get together older too. There's divorce and death and people re-get together all the time. But what is it that attracts you besides your projection of what they are? I loved that series on Netflix called You. And he would,
I remember that.
It's about a writer.
I'll have to write it down because I don't know that I know it.
Season 1 of You was fantastic. Fantastic. It's actually a book series too, and the books were fantastic. But it's about a guy, and he is just looking for love. And he thinks he finds it. A woman walks into his bookstore. He's a manager of a bookstore. And she talks to him, and he just starts projecting who she may be and what he thinks of her. And he falls in love with her, but he doesn't fall in love with her. Because you can hear him narrating on the series. He falls in love with the projection of her. And so she's disappointing.
Yeah, I think people...
And he's a serial killer because all these women aren't living up to this projection.
Because I think people...
Sorry to give it away.
We see life through our own lens. I mean, we
all look out our own windows.
And I think that we view somebody through our perception, and then when they show up as their real self, they're like, oh, that's disappointing. Well, sorry.
Right, we're all disappointing. Every human makes mistake. Every human has flaws. We don't like it, but that's the species. That's why we like our pets.
That's right.
That's why we're like, you never disappoint me, kitty.
So I don't think that everybody's dull. I just don't think they know how to. I think they're called sleepers. I want to call them sleepers. Because I think it's just dormant inside and it needs to be fed.
Oh, that's a great idea, actually.
Because I do. I think sometimes,
Yeah, we all have, what is it? Someone just told this to me. What if we are God? That's what she asked me. She said, what if we are God? What if God lives in all of us? What if we are the closest embodiment?
I think we are.
Right.
I agree.
So if everyone's God, then you got to have something in there.
Yes. Well, you think about how, like I do, I think that life, look at everything that's created. Trees, plants, animals, that's all energy. And so whether you call it God or I think we all come from the same
creation.
Yes. As the whales and as
octopus.
Yes. And snakes and
octopus
butterflies.
Are amazing.
They are.
I read this book called The Soul of the Octopus, and I've never wanted to eat an octopus after that. I felt terrible. Like I thought, oh, fish. I cannot feel guilty about fish. No. The octopus they have 8 brains or something ridiculous, some ridiculous amount of brains, and all of those tentacles are nerve endings and sensory load to their brain. And so one of them, this woman who's writing the book, went in to meet this octopus, and she put her hand in, and it was like she could feel it like reading her. Oh, that's how she described it. And then it was just an amazing book. It's called The Soul of the Octopus. Very, very interesting book, but you will not want to eat octopus after that. Because
I won't want to eat it now. So.
Right. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
We were down in Boston with a couple in this, nice restaurant in the North End, and the guy comes out. He's like, "Oh my gosh, they have octopus here. We're gonna have to get it." And it literally was like the pinkish purple, like there were all the little tentacles just all squirrely on the plate, and you could see all the suckers. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not putting that in my mouth." He's like, "Oh, it's delicious. You got to try it." I'm like, "Nope."
My family lied to me that octopus was chicken, so I didn't like octopus or chicken for a long time. They would try to feed me chicken afterwards. I was like, I don't like chicken. And they were like, we fed you octopus. That was different. I'm like liar. Now what's this? Is this even chicken? I'm not eating.
See, I don't ever play around with food like that because I am a texture sensitive. And my dad, it's probably where my trauma came from. That's probably why I'm a mess right now. No.
Yeah, totally.
I'm kidding. But yes, it is. There is some, it did scar me.
I don't think we should lie to children as much as we lie to children as a whole. They're little people.
And I know that they were just being funny. Looking back now, I know they were being funny, and he didn't mean any harm in it.
Of course.
But he told me to try this. My grandmother used to make really good fried chicken. And so I loved the little, what do you call them?
Drumsticks?
The legs. Because you could hold it, and I never eat the chicken all the way off of the bone. I just eat around.
Like the two big meats on the top, and then someone else can finish them for you.
And all the crunchies. But my dad, we were in Myrtle Beach at this all-you-can-eat seafood buffet thing, and they had these things in it. They looked like little tiny chicken legs, and I was like, "Oh!" My dad's like, "Oh, try them. They're they were frog legs." And I bit into it, and it was rubbery, and I didn't like frogs. I hate frogs. I was scared of frogs. Never liked them.
Let alone eating them.
Yes, and then I put it in my mouth, and I'm like, "Nope, I don't trust you anymore." Ugh. And that's why my mom would, I should get my mom in here one day. I was a very picky eater. And
So was
she's
I.
like, "You will sit there and finish your meal." I'm like, "Okay. I will rate you out."
I had a myriad of disagreements with number one, but number one never made me eat anything weird. Always go to McDonald's, go get pizza, go get a steak and cheese sub. I never was required to eat canned vegetables. Canned asparagus is frightening to me. Canned mushrooms are frightening to me. I was never required to eat vegetables at all. She didn't like vegetables. So that whole time period of my childhood was go to McDonald's with your friends. Here's some money. Go do this. Eat chicken fingers, eat chicken nuggets, eat pizza. Because she was force-fed food that generation, and she was not. So the name of the book is called The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw, with a A-W at the end. No V.
W.
Yeah. Unless you're German. Wunderbar. But we're not, so.
I love it. Might be some German in there somewhere.
But the Greatest Generation they came after World War II, and they birthed out of tragedy.
Yeah.
And when you have that kind of tragedy, I think, and you all of a sudden have peace and prosperity, you have just this amazing generation. So much opportunity, so much life, right? Then it seems like the generation after that is our generation. And our generation was different. We didn't have the same job for 30 years where we could retire, go somewhere at 18, come out.
Yeah, kids are like, "What's a pension now?"
Right. We didn't have that. We were losing our job every 3 years as companies folded and were sent overseas. We found ourselves not being able to get a good foothold young. And we were expecting that because our parents were telling us that their life could have only been better by college. They send us off to college. We come out. We don't have jobs. We get a job. We lose a job. We get a job. We lose a job. Certain industries specifically. And then, the cost of living is exponentially higher. Everything becomes disposable. We're introduced to credit. My mother didn't manage a credit card. My parents didn't manage that kind of debt. But now now it was you saved until you could afford to buy it, or you bought it on layaway. Then all of a sudden we get credit, and now we can buy whatever, and then we're required to pay for it later.
Right.
In that first, and then, you're not managing correctly. Did anyone teach me to manage credit correctly? And then you have the generation after us, which are the millennials, which we tell them the thing that, we feel like we weren't given whatever, and then so we want to give them extra. And then it seems like, I don't know, we had adversity in our childhood in a way. The children now have adversity too, but they're constantly trying to be protected from it. Parents calling schools at 18 to lecture teachers about things, and they're so involved. Could you imagine that in our generation, that because you would get yelled at, whatever the teacher said, we'll hit you. We'll get hit because our teacher said something.
Smack you on the back of the head. Oh, well, so I think that we, each generation, I think that we try to change the parts
that were broken for us.
Well, and I think that our parents growing up, college was viewed very differently. If you were rich or if you were wealthy, then you were going to college. But if you're middle class, that's not it. That culture was you graduate, get married, and get a job. And then our parents, as they're growing, And I feel like you don't really start to look at things differently until you're in your 40s, I think, and you see things differently a little bit, and you can look back. And
Well, you start getting more and more wisdom because when you're young, you think you know everything. I thought I knew everything.
Well, yeah, you do, and you're operating on what you were raised in. Our parents are working off about how their parents were raised. How they raised them. Nobody has a blueprint for this. Nobody has a book to say, "Hey, you're going to be a parent." I mean, there are a lot of books out there, but not.
But they always change. There was a point of let your baby cry until they stop crying and cry themselves out. And then they realize that's really horrible.
Yes. So I don't think that we spend much time saying, this child is going to be a man. This little girl is going to be a woman, and raise them with those thoughts in mind. And don't lose sight of it's a child, but at the same time, equip them to be on their own. Give them those lessons. I think our parents started, they didn't know. And I think when I was 16 or 17 and I'd been working, and my mom said to me, we were just in a conversation, and she said to me, save $3,000, save up, and that put that in your savings account. And once you get, then, just be very careful about saving. Here's your goal, whether it's $3,000. Back then I was 16, and $3,000 was a
lot of money.
It was a lot of money. Back in the even 90s. So that was my goal. And she said, so now that when you get there, now you pretend you have a zero account. So you're always leaving something. You're always leaving that. There's your little nest egg. You add to that. You add to that. And so she was just teaching me in her own ways
to have a buffer.
Yeah. And so, but I carried that over with my kids, and saying,
and you kept it because it was so useful.
Well, yeah. And I just thought, it's so important to, now that I'm looking back, if I had had just a little bit more of instruction with how to manage money. And my mom was really good about, credit card debt, later in life. And, after she was probably in her 40s. It was valuable information. And I'm like, why couldn't we do that? So I, going in, wanted my kids to be set up for success instead of trying to enable. And I think so when we came from latchkey kids, we were kind of on our own, and we're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're gonna have more influence in our children's life.
Because I was on my own doing God knows what.
We did too, but some of that, so now we're in a place like, maybe that's not. Now we're seeing some of these kids that we have raised, and they're like,
like failure to launch.
Well, failure to launch, but everything is a battle. We have this whole cancel culture, and I think that's where our relationships come from. You're so busy fighting. You're so busy fighting. Well, they didn't call me by my
proper name,
my pronoun, or whatever. Or you want to fight. You want to fight about a bathroom in a school. Take one off the door and just say bathroom. And it has a lock on it.
Unisex always existed, which that's why the bathroom upsets me.
Yes.
It's not that I'm it's not the concept that you get your own bathroom, that you want to use a bathroom, or I don't even understand what the concept is actually. But we had unisex. Unisex meant anyone could go in the bathroom. But because I think gender became the word that was the word that changed everything. But I was like, why do we have to buy new signs? We had the unisex sign.
Right.
I don't know why unisex was a problem.
Just put bathroom.
Bathroom is perfect.
Bathroom. Well, so that was one of the debates when our kids were in high school, and that was the big thing going on. Well, it was a debate of what are they going to do, because there's all these kids saying, I'm not going to use the bathroom. I need a gender specific bathroom for me, and that does not fit my mold. So trying to be accommodating, and I have a child that wants fairness.
Yes.
For everybody.
That's the one thing we want as children. And some of us grow out of it understanding that life isn't fair, but justice.
But you don't have to
fairness.
be, it doesn't have to be hateful. It doesn't have to be angry, and it doesn't have to be harsh. We don't teach
it should
tolerance.
Well, acceptance. Acceptance is the peace.
Yes. Instead of saying, what I felt like is saying when you're getting into, the gender and you're getting into the bathroom and bathrooms and all of these things, people want to be heard and be seen. What we're not teaching is, I'm going to bend your will. And it's not good enough that you have accommodated me. I want you to agree with me. Not only agree with me, I want you to believe what I believe.
Right.
That's not tolerance.
Yeah.
It's why we have all these protests and these,
Yeah. Yeah, we can't believe what everyone else believes. We believe what we believe.
I can be a green giraffe and you can be a purple monkey and we can be friends. We still can be friends. And it doesn't have, and so what I was saying to some of the kids that they were talking about it because they had to debate it in class. And I said, you have to be really, really careful because when you give a small group rights, and I feel like that's, somebody could jump all over that. When you make allowances for somebody else to have, you make an exception or you make a rule. Somebody else is losing their rights. So, and I just said to her, what if you're having your period and you have on a romper and, so you have to take the whole romper down and then you decide that and so you need to have privacy. You want privacy to
do that.
Take care of your business. Well, what if the basketball team decides to come in and say, we're girls today, and you lose your privacy because you cannot tell me how many children have stood on the toilet seat and looked over a stall. I have.
All have.
Right. We all have. And especially if you're in the opposite sex, what are you going to do? Just go in there and stand in there because, hey, I'm here? Right. No, you're going in to look.
Right.
But so it's just saying, so when you are you're taking away from something else. You're taking away from somebody else. So how do we do this and make it right for everybody? Just put the word bathroom on the... Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are. I don't want to go in the bathroom anyway. I don't want to be next door to somebody who's doing a nasty number 2.
I am married. I have been John Beefcake and I have been together. This year will be 30 years. This August will be 30 years. Like boyfriend, girlfriend into marriage. And I do not use the bathroom when he's in it. We have... One of the whole thing was we need 1.5 baths at least. We need bathrooms on different side. We need some form of privacy in our marriage. And going to the bathroom is it for us. Yes. We need bathroom privacy. I'm not in the bathroom when he's in the bathroom. We don't brush our teeth in our double sinks. And I know some people that's ridiculous because I sell houses all the time. And there were some houses, these were condos. And they had no door in the bathroom. The bathroom existed right and open of the master bedroom. And I thought, I'd never be able to live here. And people are like, you don't go to the bathroom in front of your spouse? I'm like, I do not.
I'll pee.
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
Right? But I also can I have just 1 minute?
Yes.
Can I just have some form of privacy? Can I just do this by myself? I don't even want to do this. Can I just do this by myself?
And now you can't even do that because the cats have to come in.
Yeah, the cat does. Well, when I shower, I shut my door almost all the way. But Bosco sits on top of the... second floor railing, and he just dangles and waits for me. And I'm always wondering, is he like, I hope she makes it. She's got water all over her. It's all over her. I hope she makes it out okay.
And you're sitting there thinking, I hope he makes it.
Yeah.
Man, my cats, they stress me out sitting on the banister. I have to just walk away.
Even if they fall, they land on their feet. Don't worry.
It's just a long way down.
I know, but my cat was pushed off the second story by a small kid that I almost threw off the balcony when I was young. I was like I don't know, maybe I was 19. And this little kid came over, with the family, and he came and he went push and threw my cat off the second floor porch. And I had those long stairs in the apartment, and we lived in a 3-family. We had those long stairs. My cat landed on her feet on the stairs, 2 on one and 2 on another. And I was like, cat's magic, like, but I did want to throw that child off of the, let's see if you can land. That urge, like, what are you doing with my cat?
Your new name is Bagheera. Wasn't he the one that jumps off isn't he the panther? Was it Bagheera in the Jungle Book?
Yes.
Somebody sent us a message on our comments.
Ooh, okay. Good morning, Jody Ann. There is an overwhelming desire as a parent to not make the mistakes our parents made. However, and I say this as a parent, we forgot there were some lessons from those mistakes that were valuable. Instead of unpacking those lessons, we tried to avoid. Hold on, Seymour. Hold on.
Yes. I think we grew up feeling that we didn't have a voice. I remember being told, do as I say, not as I do, or, speak when you're spoken to, or be seen, not heard, all of these things. That was a running thread in our world growing up. You heard it from everybody.
Yeah, so what I think about the lessons is so valuable. No one likes learning the lesson, but the lesson keeps showing up until you learn it.
Yes.
And that's part of some of the frustration for relationships is, I haven't learned this lesson. I haven't learned whatever the lesson is.
Well, so I think we try to compensate and saying, you know what, we're going to do it differently this time. We're going to make our kids feel important. We're going to make our kids feel seen. We're going to give them a voice.
And we're also trying to protect them. So to her point, think of bullying. Think of anything that you're trying to protect your kid from.
Yes.
Feeling alone, being isolated, not having a friend to go sit at the lunchroom with. There's a million things that go on in a kid's world.
Yes.
That are traumatic when they're going through you as a kid, because going out into school, you are away from your family, the people who love you. Hopefully they love you and are treating you well, hopefully. And you going into this world where it's just a different world. It is the world, right? It is the big bad world.
Yeah.
And we want to protect our kids from the pain. So I had a family member lose a family member recently. And my heart was so broken for them. And I said, she's not my child. I don't have a child, but she was my baby. I used to joke around. I held her and loved her and fed her and put her to sleep and, taught her to swim. And she was my baby. And I just want to take her pain from her because I don't want her to have that pain. I almost feel like I could handle that pain, but she can't.
Yes. And so I think what we try to do is we try to take the ouch out of the lessons and give our children a voice. And it comes from a good place. In that you are seen and you are valued, but not to the detriment of the person next to you. And that's where it's gotten off the rails.
And that's life. We all have to go through those things.
Yes, you do matter. You do matter. Every single person of us matters. But you don't have to, just because you shine bright, dimming somebody else's light is not going to make yours shine brighter. It's not going to make you more important. It's not going to make you feel better. So, yes, I see you, I hear you, but we're not going to change the whole world. The stupid
We
thing
don't have
about
enough space, square footage for bathrooms for green giraffes and purple monkeys.
Come on, Aunt Jemima, the syrup. Okay. It's offensive. So now it's called, I don't know, mill something.
Okay.
Or because they had to change it because it offended somebody. It's, taking down the statues. Way back then they were that was offensive. It was Robert E. Lee or whatever. Some of these people, you can't just
if you
rewrite history.
If you rewrite it, you don't learn the lesson from it.
Right.
So the lesson of when I think of some of the stuff that happens now, I think of World War II. I read a lot of books about World War II. And I read them really young. I started reading them, 13, 14 years old. And I kept coming out to my parents being like, how the hell did this happen? Or why didn't the United States get involved earlier? And how could we sit by I think the United States, and I'm hoping we are still this, but we have a constitution that was written, and you can't believe that they thought of these things then.
Go back to the time that they were actually living in.
Right.
And you're fighting for, and so.
But like the gun control thing, I know people talk about gun control all the time. The original reason why that was that was said the way it was said, it was not for you to be afraid of your neighbor. It was for you to be afraid of a tyrannical government, because all over the world there are tyrannical governments. There is genocide in 2024. Yeah. There are wars in 2024. People are harming other people. It's to protect you against the mob of tyranny.
But yeah, think about it logically. Sugar kills more people than guns do every year.
Cars kill more people than guns do. Texting and driving kills more people than guns do, but we never talk about that.
Right. Obesity and diabetes, heart disease kills more people than that. And so why don't you ban that? Like I said, so when they made the Constitution, I feel like
they thought of so many things at once.
Yes, you're trying to think, and it's a blueprint. It was a blueprint to say, hey, how can we protect your right to your land, to your, because back then your neighbor could say, hey, I decided I'm going to take your 15 acres and I will shoot your mom for it or whatever, or I'm going to go over and steal all your horses and whatever. It's just,
They were trying to make have a law around lawlessness.
Yes, you're trying to create order.
From the human being has sovereignty. Right. That we individually, and severally, we all are all important. We all have these inalienable human rights. I didn't say the word right. But we all have these basic rights. And that's what I think made the United States such an amazing, we're going to go to the top of the hour in a minute, but made us so amazing. And I think we're responsible for helping the world, because there's still genocide places. There's still horrible stuff going on. Stay tuned. We're going to the top of the hour, but then we'll be back for our second hour of Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and on WSMN.live and Facebook Live. We'll see you in a minute.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped? Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5-6-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did. And I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266. That's 203-241-1266. Or visit my website, nascent24.com, NASCENT24.com. There is a solution. Take the first step. You won't regret it.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Republicans in the House say there is an emerging national security threat that needs to be addressed publicly involving Russia and space technology. GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson with reporters Wednesday.
I will press the administration to take appropriate action, and everybody can be comforted by that.
The House Intelligence Committee characterized this as a serious national security threat, but it involves classified material. Speaker Johnson said he put a meeting together for Thursday with President Biden and the White House to discuss what comes next. According to a Monmouth University poll, nearly 1 in 5 Americans believe in a conspiracy theory involving Taylor Swift and President Biden.
The theory suggests that the pop star is part of a secret government campaign to secure President Biden's re-election. Among those who hold this belief, 71% identify with the GOP and 83% are likely to vote for former President Trump. Pollster Patrick Murray notes that only about 42% of respondents were even aware of the conspiracy prior to the survey. I'm John Schaefer.
Police say they took 2 people into custody shortly after a shooting that left 1 dead and over a dozen more wounded at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade in Kansas City Wednesday. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves says it's unfortunate.
The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment.
The shooting happened near the end of the celebration after 3 p.m. when attendees had already been partying for hours, some since the early morning. The college football playoff has secured a long-term partnership with ESPN. The college football playoff announced a new rights agreement with ESPN Tuesday, ensuring the network will exclusively broadcast the expanded 12-team tournament until at least 2031. This is USA News.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Deutsch, and if you or your business owe money to the IRS, I've got great news for you. Tax laws have changed. Billions of dollars are earmarked for IRS Fresh Start programs, and if you qualify, you can literally save tens of thousands of dollars. Listen, I know what you're going through. Call me if you want to speak with a tax attorney or tax professional for free.
800-284-9275. That's 800-284-9275.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you test and inject daily, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-471-7065. 800-471-7065. 800-471-7065. That's 800-471-7065.
Alltrix Primary Care, Nashua. They are a dedicated group of board-certified nurse practitioners, NPs, striving to make a difference in healthcare. They promise to make every effort to provide you with the best possible care and focus on you as an individual. As NPs, they are licensed to assess, diagnose, treat medical conditions, and prescribe medications. At Alltrix, they welcome new patients and accept most commercial insurance plans and Medicare. For those without insurance, consider Alltrix Direct, which provides all of your primary care for a small, affordable membership fee. No co-pays, no fee for service payments, and no third-party billing. Alltrix Primary Care provides unhurried, highly personalized health care for you and your family. Visit alltrixpc.com/Nashua. That's www.alltrixpc.com/Nashua. Alltrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Are you or your loved ones in need of compassionate care in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Heaven Sent Home Care. Heaven Sent knows the importance of personalized care tailored to your unique needs. Whether it is assistance with daily activities, medication management, or specialized medical care, our compassionate caregivers are ready to provide the highest quality of in-home care. The services provided by Heaven Sent Home Care extend beyond physical care. They also offer companionship, ensuring that you or your loved ones have someone to share stories, laughters, and meaningful moments with. Experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your loved ones are in capable hands. Or visit us online at heavensenthomecarellc.com to schedule a consultation and learn more about the comprehensive range of services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
Hey Nashua, do you know there's $1 roulette at the River Casino and Sports Bar? Join us this month for all-day happy hour specials for the big game. Bring your favorite Valentine to enjoy our special chocolate heart dessert. Watch, play, win at the River Casino Sports Bar on High Street. Oh, and our chicken tenders are fantastic too. Open till 4 a.m. Friday, Saturday. Visit us online at therivercasino.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic, our second hour. You are listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, as well as Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And we have an answer to why Pluto is no longer a planet. The International Astronomical Union downgraded the status of Pluto to a dwarf planet because it does not meet three criteria as defined for a full-size planet. The three criteria are: it is in orbit around the sun, it has sufficient mass to assume hydrostatic equilibrium, which means a round shape, and it has cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. So that sounds like odd. What does it mean?
Well, it says it's a mini planet.
Yes.
So it's not but it's still a planet then.
Yeah. But it says...
Just a little one.
It says that it shares an orbital neighborhood with Kuiper belt objects, such as Plutinos. So that's what makes it... maybe the gravitational pull isn't enough to stand itself on its own. Because when they start writing this...
So a planet has to be enough to stand on its own?
Apparently. The gravitational... It has cleared the neighborhood around its orbit, which I think has to do with gravitation. Oh, yeah. This means the planet has become gravitationally dominant. There are no other bodies of comparable size other than its own satellites. So, like, the moon is our satellite. Or otherwise under its gravitational influence or its vicinity in space. But that has changed. That is a belief that has changed.
So is Aunt Jemima's syrup. Just saying.
Okay. Let's talk about cancel culture. Should we just rile everyone up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get everyone all bent out of shape.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about it. You know, we're talking about people in their 20s and about how hard it is to actually go out on your own. So with you being in real estate...
Oh, this is a big topic, and I talk about this all the time.
How do they do it? How do you do it? Like, I was thinking, when I got my first apartment, I was 17, 18. It was $330 a month. And that was 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, kitchen, living room.
I'm sorry, how many bedrooms?
2.
Okay.
2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a living room, a kitchen, and then I had like a little back porch. When I got married in Oh, 96. I was like, wait.
What year was that?
What was that? In 96, when I moved up here, we rented a carriage house for $500 a month. And I'm like, when I was looking at apartments 15 years ago, 16 years ago, before I bought my first house, 849 square feet for it was $1,600 a month. I'm like, I don't know what it is now, but like, how do kids get their start?
And that's a really good question. It's something that we struggle with when people like myself, who are getting people into housing, my entire job is housing people. And we are constantly trying to find, what would make stuff affordable. And we don't have the answer. I guess more housing would be an opportunity.
If we could build more housing,
but
rentals,
it's so expensive to build right now. The land costs so much, the construction costs so much, the lending costs. It's so expensive to build that the new stuff that comes out is not more affordable for the people. So the perfect example is Portsmouth has this brand new construction project out. It's $900 a square foot. The average price per square foot for everything else in Portsmouth is $456 per square foot.
Yeah.
So that's sale prices. But one of the things that I think we have to go back to, my parents bought a 3-family house. I think it was like $28,000 back in 1968. And they lived in one, and they rented out the other one. And I think the third one, my mother's brother lived in for a little while.
Mm.
But they were able to supplement the cost of owning a home. And over the years, this was in Somerville, Massachusetts, over the years and decades, they started condominiumize those 3 families. So there's not that much opportunity there to do that. But in New Hampshire, we have multifamilies. A 2-family is a great way and an affordable way for someone to get into home ownership. It does make you a landlord.
Mm.
And we, as renters and as landlords, it used to be this really symbiotic relationship. My tenants loved my parents, and my parents loved my tenants. They all lived in the same houses. So we had an elderly couple that lived downstairs. My parents, they need to be on the first floor, and they're elderly. They can't afford to pay more rent. And as rents were going up in the neighborhood around us, they started raising their rent $25, $20, $25. My parents would say, stop doing that, because their costs were fixed. They were paying their bills.
Right.
They didn't need more money from this family. And this family was like, but it's not reasonable. Everybody else is getting $500 more. We're doing this. But they made sure the trash was taken out. And then my mother would, as they got a little older, do not let them take out the trash. Make sure you're out there before they do that. They don't need to be taking out the trash. Make sure you clean off their car. It became a small mini community in there.
Yeah.
And we now live so isolated from everybody. We live, and those were multi-generational households. So someone would live in one, their kids would get married, live in another. There was a way that housing had a purpose to give everyone a starting point. Some people lived there their whole life. And then other people then saved money and moved out and did buy a single family home. And when I look at rent, so what I was saying about we have different, now tenants hate the landlord. It's like
you're automatically the bad guy.
Who's the comedian who used to do it on Saturday Night Live? Oops, there's the landlord. Who's that? Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy used to do, the stupid landlord, but it was that we're providing safe and clean habitable housing for you, and you're paying for it, and that's the symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
And landlords have bills. Landlords take out huge mortgages. They're responsible for fixing roofs and, maintaining the plumbing system.
And 9 times out of 10, it's not your real job.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's not their real job.
Somebody's working,
They're also at work paying their bills so they can save up money to buy these. And then there are the corporatized landlord type scenarios where, a big, huge corporation owns and manages them. And those are run without the community. They do want a community in them, but they run off bottom line stockholder numbers,
Right.
share, they have a financial responsibility to a group of people who gave them money as their primary focus, as they should. Right? Someone gave them millions and millions of dollars to do that, hundreds of millions of dollars, some of these projects. I think Equity One was the largest one for a long time. But in the 70s, the government got into housing by making project housing. No place was more disgusting than project housing, and in more disrepair than when the government oversaw housing. So we really don't want to get back into government overseeing housing again. They don't do a great job of it.
Right.
So the small landlord is still a major component, but the corporate landlord is also a component of housing. What is interesting is that we've now separated into being more communities, because there is that corporate stance on we're raising rent again this year, even if you've been a great landlord, great tenant. Where when you live with a small landlord, the small landlord has a different. He or she wants you to stay. They don't want to have a vacancy. And if you've been a good tenant, you've been paying your rent on time, and you sweep the front stairs, and you don't keep your place like a disaster zone, and you're not causing bugs or mice to live there, and you're just like a good tenant. They don't raise rent. When I took over management for one of my clients, he had 3 families that went $900 per month collected in rent for 3 bedrooms. The average 3-bedroom in Nashville is $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
He never raised anyone's rent for 12 years. I mean, those people had been in his apartment 12, 14, 15 years. They never left, because where were they going to go to get rent that cheap?
Right.
And so he would always say to me, I can't afford you for property management. And I'm like, you can't, because you're collecting so little rent that you couldn't afford to pay somebody.
Right.
But that's how those landlords.
Well, they have a vested interest too, because it's their property.
Their property, and they care. And so if you're treating it well, they're treating you well. There becomes a relationship. So if you want to, so I'm thinking about young kids. You want to go try to find smaller landlords, and then be a good tenant, and you will have an amazing relationship, and you will be able to at some point get ahead, because they won't be raising you $500 a month or a year. I just talked to somebody, and they said in the last 3 years their rent went up $500 in one of those corporate places. It goes, despite the fact that I'm clean, despite the fact that I always keep my stuff, whatever, despite the fact that I'm keeping up my end of the bargain, it doesn't matter. They're just going up because that's what the numbers say they have to do.
Yeah.
And I said, you might benefit from going to a smaller landlord, someone who owns 1 building or 50 buildings, because they care about that kind of stuff. Maybe that's a good solution for you, because I felt for him. He's like, I'm paying more than, he paid more for that 2-bedroom than we pay for our mortgage.
Wow.
Not our taxes, but definitely our mortgage. And how does he, we were talking, how does he save? It's a really good question.
It is hard to get ahead. It's hard to get ahead. And
it's hard to get ahead because everything is so expensive.
Yeah. Well,
how much is this phone? I mean, I know there's a lot of technology to it and everything.
I have no idea.
But people get new phones every year. I get a new phone when the battery stops charging.
I think they're like $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they just start going.
And then the monthly payment is $200 a month.
Yeah.
And then when you think of, I got a phone, it was $9.99 from Kmart. I plugged it in. My bill was $15.04 because I didn't have a long distance plan. And that was my phone.
Yes. Yes.
And I didn't buy it every year. I lived in that apartment. When I moved, I took my $9.99 Kmart phone with me until I moved into a house.
Chris was saying, like, even just the cost of, like, 2x4s, like, even the building materials are through the roof. And he thought, like, maybe after COVID would have come down a little bit.
I think everyone took advantage of the fact that we paid more money, and they're just making us pay more money.
Well, yeah, they're like, well, shoot, they can do it, so here we are. So we need to have a massive, like, walkout. That's not a walkout. What do you call it?
Right. I know what you're talking about. This is what I was thinking. So I buy this particular soap. It's Alba soap, and I buy it because I have psoriasis. So boycott. I try not to have a lot of parabens or sulfates or chemicals or certain perfumes in my soap because it aggravates my skin. So I found one that doesn't aggravate my skin. It used to cost, before COVID, it cost $8.99 for a giant. It would last me a month. Amazon bought Whole Foods, right? However long ago. Now they should know what they can, and they're selling volume. So they should not be the most expensive on the block. Whole Foods, which again, they have real estate. I understand that there's overhead to their real estate and they have cashiers and all of that other stuff. They had put it on an end cap, $19.99 for this. And so I said, you have some nerve. I'm not buying it. I will go and source. I will buy it direct from Alba. 2 weeks later, they advertised the price is $17.99 on sale for $14.99. I'm like, they know that, hey, we're not pushing they're with their algorithms and everything, they're paying attention. They're not moving the product that they used to move.
Right.
And you should not move it until it comes down to whatever. And so what the cashier said to me is, oh, well, that Alba just charges us more now. I go, I don't think they do, because you dropped it $5 in 2 weeks.
Right.
So if Alba charged you more, you would have to keep it at $19.99.
Right.
I said, and I said, and I will tell you, you charge $8 more for sauerkraut for the same brand that Hannaford does, and they're down the street. Don't tell me.
It's the same thing as cheese. I buy a specific cheese, and I walk into Whole Foods, and it's $9.99. I go into Market Basket, and it's $3.99. Shaw's is the same way. I went down, and it was organic strawberries are $9.99. I think I showed you that picture of it.
You did.
Come on. But I'm like, hey, I did say it last time. It's election year. The gas prices are down.
Right.
Everybody celebrate.
And I do understand fruit will sometimes be more expensive in a year than it will be another year because they had a frost or a crop. I get all of that. But I think we are sort of being raped along the prices of just pay more. Just pay more. And I know there was... we talked about this outside of the show, but we talked about the fact that Walgreens used to be a real estate purchase where you would automatically make 8 or 9% on your money. If you were a real estate investor, you could buy the land underneath Walgreens. They were highly desirable. And at one point, they were 11%. They give you money. And then once everyone figured out how much money they were paying, it went down to like 7 or 8%. And now there are dark Walgreens for sale, which means the Walgreens have shut down. And I think that is partly because the self-checkout came through.
Yes.
And then I think everybody was like, why would I pay? You're raping me on these prices. I think people started stealing exponentially. And then they started raising the prices even more. I stopped going to Walgreens because I'm like, you're charging so much more money. I'm just paying for the people stealing. I'll go to CVS.
Yeah.
So I go to CVS. It was cheaper. But now it's like they're literally shutting them down. And I don't think that's good. So I'm a person who believes the economy runs better when everybody's working. Everyone has a job to go to, which that's like a whole nother topic to talk about. Why doesn't anybody want to work anymore? Because work is boring and depressing and whatever. But there's something about working as a contribution.
Well, I think that we've lost, I think that we have lost
parenting, right? Parenting is work, but it's a contribution to your family.
Yeah, but we have not pressed upon society or generations that you have a responsibility. Being in this world, you have, as a human being, you have a responsibility to push humanity forward.
And to contribute.
In what you are doing, if you want to go out and scream and wear your vagina suit and scream on on your parade and saying I need to be heard, you are still pushing it forward, and that's what you are creating. That's what's being created. So be careful of what you're putting out there.
Yeah, be careful what you create.
And I feel like, think about right before the break we were talking about war, and we're talking about how we evolve and how we change as we grow, and how we look back and can see where our parents were doing the best of their abilities. But we, as a society moving humanity forward, we say, oh, okay, we're going to leave those parts and we're going to carry this one forward. We can look back and be like, yeah, war was terrible. That was ugly. It was awful. We are nasty human beings. COVID's going to be the same way. I don't know. We might not even have history books anymore because, the way the world's going,
we're going to keep changing it.
There's so many people are like, I don't care about history. I just want you to rewrite it. I want you to take it down. I don't care if he was a great general. I don't want to see his... Even though I'm going to go to, I'll never go to Pennsylvania and I will never stare at the statue. I want you to take it down because it offends me. Get over it.
Yeah. Well, I think the piece about history is it is how we got. Think of your own personal history. I lived in Somerville, Massachusetts. I moved several times. I moved to Malden. I moved to Revere. I moved to New Hampshire. I moved to Hawaii. I moved back to New Hampshire. I have all of this history. Now, I may not like some parts of my history for sure.
But it shapes who you are.
But I am today, the lessons I've learned, the lessons I still haven't learned, that's who I am today.
Forget the mistake. Forget the mistake. Remember the lesson.
You change any piece of that, I am different because I have a different experience. If you change history, you've lost the lessons we needed to learn to get here. And maybe that's why we have multiple wars breaking out. Maybe because we've lost lessons. You had the head of, I think it was Harvard, saying awful things, saying that it's appropriate to kill certain groups of people.
Right.
And I don't know how, I actually don't know how that happens, but they asked ChatGPT, is it okay for genocide? And no, everybody is, and it's like, oh, Harvard doesn't know what
Harvard
AI
didn't get the
does
memo.
know. Right. And Harvard was never that.
No,
Harvard was never that. Harvard's losing some of its history somewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem of not appreciating where we are is not knowing what our history was. Did you know they used to burn women as witches in Salem, New Hampshire? Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Did
right
you
down the
know?
road.
Right down the street, setting women on fire.
Yeah.
In the street with a crowd watching.
Yeah. And we can all look back and be like, yeah, that was a bad idea.
Obviously.
Because we grow.
Right. But thank God we've learned that.
So
but if
let's
we
not
all of a
erase
sudden
it.
change that, we erase it.
If we just erase that ever happened, how far do we progress down before it's not burning somebody, but it's like, hey, I've decided that I can take your house, or we're just going to eliminate this because I don't like you. It's the same thing. Like, we all have opinions. We don't have to wear them out loud. Like, I personally think that no person ever should be in flesh-colored leggings. I just don't. Especially at Walmart. But I'm just saying, like, you can be opposed to, we all have opinions. I could go rally. I'm sure I could get some people out here to support me.
Well, we
to
are
support
here for
my cause.
Yeah, we're here 2 hours talking about our opinions.
That's right.
And these are our opinions, and we change them. Next week we can change them.
Yes.
In 3 weeks now we can change them.
I do think that we will all look back. And I said it jokingly about Salem, like, oh yeah, that was a bad idea. As a society, we can look back and be like, yeah, it was probably not a good idea to put people on fire. We will look back at some point and being like, yeah, COVID was a bad idea.
I think people now know COVID is a bad idea. We have not
the
recovered.
Anxiety, the depression,
the isolation. So speaking of how we failed our younger generation, we separated them. They couldn't go to school. They didn't have graduation from colleges or high schools. They didn't have proms. All of those rites and rituals, and then we made them
major
so
milestones.
fearful.
Some major milestones that we have to go through to these experiences, and we tell everybody just to sit tight.
Yeah, and put your life on hold.
But it's separation. It's separation and,
isolation. When you isolate people, part of the whole thing about depression is February Mental Health Month. I know it's American Heart Health Month.
I know it's Joy from their...
from my book.
It is Joy. It might be Mental Health Month.
Or is that May? Maybe. I don't know. I know it's American Heart Health Month. But depression, one of the key... Some people are very functionally depressed. means they go to work, they get up, they do all the stuff. They do all the stuff they're supposed to do, but there's an undercurrent that nothing feels good. Even the things they used to take joy in, they're not feeling.
Yeah.
So they're a very functionally depressed people. And you know someone's depressed. If you love someone and you know that they suffer with depression, you will know that they're depressed because they start isolating themselves. They stop talking as much. They stop going out to things. You invite them to things, they don't come.
Shutting down.
They start isolating themselves. And guess what? You're more depressed when you're isolated.
Yes. But I think sometimes you get yourself into that spot and then it's hard to get out of it because you have to create a source inside of you, an energy that doesn't exist. So, if you're fighting that depression inside, it's hard to like turn around and be like, okay, I gotta just lay that down and I'm gonna go be happy.
Right.
It's hard to get those tools. So I do think that we need outside sources. We do need community. We need people.
Right. And there's reasons to be depressed. There's a lot of reasons to be depressed. If you lose a spouse, if you lose a child, if you lose your job, if you went after this thing that was your goal and you lost, right? I'm imagining the most depressed Olympian is the one who comes in second place. Because they were so,
true.
right?
Oh, yeah. 3 feet from gold.
I don't know. There's legitimate reasons, and of course, it's completely natural to be upset. And it's how do you get yourself out of that?
Yeah.
And I think community is a big piece. I think having people who love you and care about you that you can be yourself with, and I know so many people in my world that they're on some level since COVID of not being back to the life they had previously, and they're upset. But they don't know because, not that they don't know, but this has now become so regular. Changing it is the big
We had a
hurdle.
big pattern interrupt, and it changed how we
And
went
now we
forward,
haven't-
and I don't feel like it was in a positive way.
Right, and now we don't have the pattern interrupt into the good way again.
Yes. So I've said this before, during COVID or during the election. And I don't care who you are for or against. It's the president of the United States. So I don't care if you don't like him. But a social media platform can shut a president of the United States. We have elected, we as a people have said, hey, we're going to go this way, and this is the form of government that we're going to have. And we're going to elect one person to be head of all of us. So he's
For 4
supposed
years.
to. So technically, he's supposed to have the most. We are surrendering to the authority of this person, and we are all in agreement that we will say the president of the United States is the most powerful person. And a social media platform can ban him and shut him down. There's
And now we
something
didn't-
wrong with that. We're not respecting authority. It's about my opinion. It's everybody says,
well, it makes you start thinking,
it's my feelings were
Yeah.
hurt. We
Yeah.
all have feelings.
Yeah, and they get hurt all the time.
Put your big pants on and just move on.
Well, one of the things that I think when you start looking at tyrannical governments or you start looking at corrupt governments, guess what they do? Anyone who says something that they don't like, they shut down. So
Right.
that doesn't look like the United States
the
for us.
government started the whole conspiracy theory, that word.
Mhm.
It's because anybody that didn't agree with them. So I'm going to isolate you and I'm going to call you a conspiracy, it's a conspiracy theory.
Mhm.
We didn't come up with that term. Government came up with that term. And it was because, I don't know what to do with these people that don't agree with me. So we're going to put them over here in this category and tell them that they're bad people and you're off your rocker.
When you think about all the presidents who have had bad things happen, right? Think of Nixon.
Yes.
Think of Clinton was very busy not being presidential in the White House.
Right.
Right? People loved him.
Right.
Having, and he sat there. I remember I was out of work and I was ironing and he stood on the television and pointed I did not have sexual relations with that woman,
yes.
right? And I can't say.
I got it.
Okay. He most certainly did have sexual relations with that woman.
Right.
Right. And he lied. He lied.
Yes.
Now, wasn't that one of the criteria?
Right.
Right. But he sat in presidency. So now you have a past president who forces are so so say you're like, I didn't like him as a president. I didn't like him as a president. The way he is being treated starts to make you think, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you, of all the presidents that do all of the horrible things and they're allowed to just exist, go on book tour, right?
Right.
Continue to do all of the things that they do after they've done all these horrible things as president. Now we're going to jail this one president because we don't want him to run again.
Right.
It makes you start thinking like, wait a minute.
And bring up something that's said in private with a bunch of friends in a locker room. Like, come on.
I know,
There's not one person in this world that has not said something that we're like, yeah, that was a little off color. Or, shoot, that happens at least 30 times a day in my life, in my world.
Right. And
out
so
of my mouth.
Everyone got really bent out of shape that Trump made those comments, but Bill Clinton could be having an extramarital affair and having
in the Oval Office.
In the Oval
we'll
Office.
Just excuse it.
Shouldn't you be doing presidential things? Don't you have problems you need to address?
Right.
For 4 years, look at what is Bill Burr has that joke that Obama goes in looking amazing, comes out all gray hair.
They all do.
Right? Because you have Brian
stress.
Regan has a really great joke. He says, who wants to be president? You wake up every day. Problems, big problems, right? That's the presidency. You should be taking
and the
that.
majority of the world hates you.
Right, and the majority of the world hates you. And 49% of the people that didn't vote for you don't like you.
Right.
Right? But we used to have the checks and balances of, okay, this time my guy won, next time your guy or woman wins, right? It's this balance. But now they were talking, some people in government were saying that anyone who voted for Trump should be re-educated in a camp. And guess exactly what wording was used in World War II?
Right.
Re-education camps.
And you know how Hitler got a lot of his power too. He went to the media.
Yeah.
If you get media and you can control the media, and that
so preventing a president from having something to say.
Well, you talk about we're just gonna ink blot that out. We're just gonna white out that and pretend that didn't happen because that hurts my feelings. My grandparents haven't even it didn't affect my grandparents. It didn't affect my parents, but yet now I'm taking it personally and I'm going to be offended by this. So when you're starting to control it, and we have given media the right to shut down the president of the United States. If that is not a wake up to call and be like, hey, wait a minute, there's something out of whack here. Hey, remember that whole thing about resistance? And nobody's talking about that. But let's erase that because that's exactly how Hitler got all of his footing, by going to the media and being able to control the media.
And control what, and if we can't hear the other side, so Trump is on the right, and you've got the left, right? And so what ended up happening is, if no one on the right, if the president can't have a voice, or if you're going to imprison the guy on the right, guess what? Everyone runs over to or at least pretends to be a left, because guess what? They don't want to be imprisoned.
Yeah.
They don't want to be shut down. And then you get into the cancel culture. There's, of course, you want certain things to come out, right? We needed to know that the president was getting BJs in the Oval Office instead of going to do his sworn duty for the rest of us, right? We did need to know that.
Instead of working on the health care bill.
Yes. Instead of, worrying about the, what was that, USS Cole got attacked. That submarine got attacked. Like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Were you? Is that what was happening while those military people were getting attacked, and you were busy
fighting with Hillary?
John was really funny one day. This is a really funny complete rapid fire digression. But when you bring up Hillary Clinton, I went to family member's house for my father-in-law's 70th birthday, and I forgot pajamas. And I'm like, oh man, I forgot the first night. It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I have no pajamas to get into. Let me run to Marshall's. I go, and they're cleaned out of the pajama department. The pajama department has like 3 things in my size. And I'm like, all right. So I get this thing that looks like a pantsuit. It has a collar. You know, it literally looks like a green pantsuit with black buttons. And John's like, what are you doing wearing a Hillary Clinton pantsuit? And we all laughed. And then he goes, I'm sorry, that was really mean to say you looked like Hillary Clinton. I'm so sorry. But whenever I put it on, because I still have it because it's really soft. Yes. And I always like, I'm wearing my Hillary Clinton pantsuit.
Hello. You have to wear it into the studio. We'll do pajama day.
Yeah, we'll do pajama day. I'll get a better looking one than that. But yeah, because that was really soft, but it didn't wash well. But when you think about everything that goes on in the world, and when you think about cancel culture, it was important that Harvey Weinstein?
Yes.
Like everyone outed him. That was really great. But then when you go...
But then they try to cover it all up and all these lists come out and all this stuff and everybody, you know, it's just so much.
And Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
And it's important for that kind of stuff to come out into the world. But then it's also important to know that if someone texted you and asked you out on a date, that it wasn't sexual harassment.
Right.
Right?
Well,
There is a distinction. There is
well,
a distinction.
I think young men have a very hard time finding girls.
And then women have this huge sexual revolution where I just swipe and I can have sex with this guy. I can swipe and have sex with this guy. And I can, you know, it's this so bizarrely opposite ends of the spectrum. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think because
we have no middle anymore. No like normal middle.
And
Average
it's all
middle.
superficial. And I'm like, and I can say it because I was one.
Yeah.
You know, I was a 20-year-old girl, and but now they have so much power and they know it. See, the thing is, I was stupid when I was 20. I didn't know I had power.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just fumbled blindly through life and like, not
but do you
really,
remember?
but they have control over everything. And now you've got men backed into a corner that they can't say you look pretty or without fear of coming across. And it's such a superficial, shallow platform that you're swiping left or right based.
And you're only doing it off of looks.
You're only doing it off of looks. And it's just that you just want to hook up. You just want to hook up. And so it's really hard for that people that want to be in a relationship. Because even when you go out and you meet somebody, they don't want to talk. They're what can I get out of it?
Yeah.
What can you do for me?
Right.
You make me feel good.
And when I
if not, I'm just going to cancel you.
When I was younger, if someone hit on me and I didn't want them to hit on me, and especially if they were older and they were in like in a work environment, and I'm like, hey, if I really shut this down hard, this is going to be like a little bit of a problem. I would just play blonde. I would just play like I didn't know what they were talking about, and I would like say something else, and they'd be like, oh, you're so like, and it allowed them to save face.
Yes.
And yeah, dude, no human way possible, me at 18 and you at 47.
Yeah.
Like, no possible way.
Good on you for trying.
27 is old when you're 18.
Yes.
You're like, ew. But
I might get some gray hair on me.
Ew. Like,
right.
And now you're like,
yes.
I'm ew.
All right. I've now
but I'm not going
got
after
into
anyone
the
18.
stage.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with the 51-year-old.
Yes.
This is appropriate. But even in that, there were you come up against people who try to take advantage of you. You try to take advantage of someone, not sexually, just like there's people are always giving and taking offense. You give someone offense.
Yes.
And you're going to take some offense. And I think we've tried to go to this utopia place where everything is so perfect all the time that we're missing things are getting really, really bad. And the things that like I said, it's important for the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world and the Harvey Weinsteins of the world. And it's important that injustices be right. You don't want everyone to come down the street, and if you're in a vagina suit, and like you said,
right,
and all of a sudden now you're killing all the men. What's wrong with you? Like,
right.
What are you doing? and when they talk about the cancer culture took in the phrase toxic masculinity, And what they failed, the reason why it bothers me so much is because, yes, there are traits that are toxic at an extreme end of masculinity, but there are also traits that are toxic on the extreme end of femininity. There's a manipulation. There are so many things.
Yes.
And don't label, and then masculine became permanently linked in the word culture as toxic. When masculinity is amazing. Masculinity, think of a strong guy and think of a man that you admire and the strength that they provide. And think of the men who went and fought in World War II to eradicate the genocide that was going on.
Even the courage. But you know what? We have been pushing the white male down for so long. And it's not. How about we just try this? How about you shine your light and you help somebody else shine theirs? And if we all adopted that attitude and stop worrying about whether it's a he, she, it, if it's black, white, purple, orange, yellow, see that as a living, breathing human being. You know, think about cats. You know, their fur is all different colors and like all different patterns and shapes and sizes. And, you know, man, there's so much beauty in people.
There is.
It's like, come on, man. We've gotten through all this.
And think about if we only had one looking human. We didn't have all of the colors and all of the shapes and all of the sizes. Think of that take one person and just stamp them out and put 7 billion of them on the planet. How horrible that would be.
Yeah. So I used to do drug testing for pre-hires, pre-employments, and I could not tell you how many immigrants were coming in, and their all birthday is January 1st.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of them are. I counted 50 of them. They're all January 1st because they don't know. They've just given their papers, and that's when they decided to go in. But they can sign up for school. They can get college. They get all these benefits. They get financial aid. They get a free ride to school, and they also get food stamps, you know, things to help set them up. And I'm doing these for these drug testing and knowing, and they're telling me about, you know, oh yeah, I'm going to go here for college and it's not going to cost me a dime and blah, blah. I'm a single mom and I got 2 to put through college, and I don't want them to come out with a massive amount of debt. And I'm like, there's no benefit. I make just enough that I don't qualify for it. Mm-hmm. And there's no benefit. But if you are like 0.01% Indian, Native American Indian, then you can get a scholarship. Mm-hmm. So much easier than just the white person. Mm-hmm. And we've just been pushing it down, like, no, man, you don't need to have a voice. You don't need to have a voice. And
well, in
that's
the 90s,
all wrong too.
In the 90s, I worked for the government, and they were like, wow, this particular industry does not have a lot of diversity. So they said, you're going to check off what you are. And I was like, but this industry requires a level of knowledge that whether you need to get it. You're not just born knowing how to fly.
Right.
You're not just born knowing the aviation system. It's a man-made system, right? We are defying gravity.
Yes.
Right? And there's a very scientific thing that goes along with it and all this other stuff. So you're going to now just say, we need 10 whatever nationality to make this diverse. Do you want to go up on a plane with someone who just met a criteria that didn't have anything to do with their skill or experience?
Right.
So I think that they were trying to say, hey, we notice there's a lot of, because I think at the time when I first started, it was like only 1 in every 150 people were female. And then by the time I got out of it, it was 1 in every 100. So they were making strides with the diversity for men and women.
Yeah,
but a lot of women didn't want to go into that field. They didn't want to.
Well, think about, so what we're learning, you know, just for an oral surgery, just to get into, you know, just to go to the next level to become an oral surgeon. You have, it's such a hard, it's like threading a needle. It's so difficult to get into, and it's a very niche thing. Then you say the school, and you have to pick that school. You have to be their number one choice, and vice versa. In order to even get considered for the interview, in order to go into it. So you're talking about a very niche and elite field. I don't want to be sitting back in a chair and somebody's getting ready to, adjust my sinus cavity, and they're like,
They just
I
showed
just
up.
got this job because I'm a girl.
Absolutely not. So when I got my pilot's license, and it was looking like the air traffic controller thing might not happen. And then I was like, maybe I should fly for a living, and I started to explore that a little bit. And all the guys, the engineers I had 82 engineers, of which 80 were men and 2 were women. Right. And so they would say to me, you are so lucky. Just say you're a woman and go. And I'm like, I don't want to be picked because I'm a girl. I want to be as qualified as every single man in the community. And then I started to think, a lot of the people who come out as pilots, yes, they are trained, but there's a huge amount of them that come out from the military. I don't want to be in a plane that a pilot who just went through a war and can maneuver, and because it was me or them, but I'm a girl, so I get chosen over the guy who has so much more experience. And you know what? Put him make him be the pilot of my plane. I want that guy flying me to Florida.
Yeah.
I want that guy flying me to Aruba in California and overseas. I want Fiji. Really competent, qualified people. People,
yes.
I don't want you. We have 25 qualified people and one somewhat qualified, because I said, do it off a social security number. Don't know anyone. Because they were saying we have such we have so many of these men going into this, and we don't have enough women, and we don't have this, all these diversity things. We have to know who they are so we can choose them. It's like, no. You need to do everything by social security number. Because if you don't know who anybody is, then the scores come out at the top. And you know what? The best of the women will come up. The best of the Chinese people will come up. The best of the Indian people will come. The best will come to the top.
The best of the best. And you know what? We're not all cut out for
everything.
Everything.
Right? But it's important to know that if you want to go into career in aviation, how to go about doing that so that you can be the best, no matter your color, your creed, whether you're a unicorn or a giraffe. If you can get in there and fly,
I think if
and you're making
just
everybody
being
safe.
more intentional about being like, let's be intentional about putting our best foot forward and how we show up.
Right. And
for everybody.
And maybe stop teaching about gender in school and start teaching math and science, and you can have everyone coming through the school be vying for those positions.
Well,
stop teaching stuff that doesn't have anything to do with it. Start teaching math and sciences. We are woefully behind in school for the countries across the world.
Yes.
We are the United States. We spend more money for our
because
school
we have
system.
a program, and there's it's somebody's getting money, so we gotta teach to the test.
Right.
You're not teach to life, and not to say that I love teachers. It doesn't have anything to do with the teachers.
No,
it has to do it has to do with the whole system way above. So I didn't want anybody listening thinking that we're
no. God bless teachers. I could never be a teacher.
Oh, God love them.
The patience.
Oh, absolutely. And they don't make the rules. Right. My mom said to me one time, she said, never complain to somebody that doesn't have the power to change it. Don't take your complaint. So I see people that are like nasty to their waitresses, nasty to the checkout clerk. Now, I mean, if she's rude to me, and I'm going to take it for a little bit, but at the point, I'm not going to go in and, demand customer service from a cashier and tell her that it's all it's all her fault why, my milk was bad when I bought it. It's not. Don't complain to somebody that doesn't have the power to change it. Because you're just wasting breath. You're just wasting energy. And I've thought about that over and over again. How many times, like, I'm going to just pick my battle. It's not worth. Because all it does is just eat away at your peace inside. And I feel like every morning we start out with like a cookie. Say your joy is your cookie. And we just have all these things that happen to it, and it just a little piece gets broken off, and a little piece gets broken off. By the end of the day, you're just worn down, beaten down.
I think we're managing so much as a society. I was in my car, my Bluetooth won't turn on. Then my Spotify doesn't play music. Then this doesn't happen. Then this doesn't happen. Then this doesn't happen. All these little tiny micro frustrations.
Yes.
And then I realized by the time, so I'm driving, yelling, Bluetooth audio, your phone is not connected. Bluetooth audio. Then I connect my Bluetooth. Phone not found, but I say dial, it finds my phone, no problem. And then once I've dialed a number, then my phone is connected. So I can't just say Bluetooth audio because they say there's no phone. Make sure the phone is in range. And I'm like, it's right here.
It's right here.
Right, we do this. But if I say dial, my phone says, no phone is available. Let me see if I can connect it. And then it connects it. And then I have to dial myself. I ring myself. I hang up the call. Then I can find Bluetooth.
Your radio just wants her. She wants you to speak to her specifically in a specific way.
I'm going to change it to a guy's voice. Maybe if I talk nice to a guy. Bluetooth audio to
Yo,
a guy.
what's up?
Maybe he'll give me the Bluetooth audio. But anyways, all of these little tiny micro aggravations all of the time. I feel like they're eating away at us.
Chipping, yeah.
It is... Because I by the time I got to where I was going between, and then I couldn't get Spotify to work, and then something else happened, and then I started getting aggravated, and then I didn't go properly, like I didn't break this yellow light, so then I got behind a school bus, and it was just like, my mood is going downhill really, really quickly. Really. And then I was like, it's so hard to stay, in a good mood, and I understand there's a lot going on. But I wish there was a way for us to... Like, I had to readjust. I'm like, I can't get out and go to my appointment with this attitude. I was like, take a couple of deep breaths.
Well, you don't realize it. You get one little hiccup here, one little hiccup here. But it's like that thing I was talking about, like the magnets. All these outside sources that are taking, threatening to take your joy or take your peace and robbing us. And so by the end of the day, we arrive home and we're like, ugh, I don't have anything left.
Right.
That was a bad day. Or I'm just, all of these things do affect our mood. And I'm like, so I think being aware of your environment and your surroundings and being intentionally I choose joy.
Yeah.
I choose joy.
We went out with our cousins on Friday, and he said he was thinking about putting a bowl of marbles, and one for every week if he was going to live to be 80. And then every week he would have to take one out to remind him as it's getting lower and lower, that his time on this earth is limited and that he should be doing better things with his time. And there was the person who started 2929 who said he used to... I think we're running out of time, actually.
It's 11:59.
It is 11:59. Guys.
Wait, I need to hear that.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic, WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and on WSMN.live every Thursday between 10 and noon. You can also see pre-recorded shows on Facebook and YouTube. We hope to see you next week. Until next time,
have a great weekend.
Have a great week.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Republican members of the House Intelligence Committee are flagging reports about an emerging national security threat involving Russia and space technology. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson says that he's known about it for about a month.
There's no need for public alarm. We are going to work together to address this matter, as we do all sensitive matters that are classified.
The Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner, has requested the Biden administration declassify the info so Congress and allies can openly discuss it. Speaker Johnson has had a meeting on the books with President Biden and the White House that's set to happen Thursday. The judge presiding over Donald Trump's Georgia election interference case will decide Thursday whether to remove District Attorney Fani Willis. USA's John Schaefer has more.
One of Trump's co-defendants argues that Willis should be disqualified because of her relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. According to Georgia State law professor Clark Cunningham, this issue could prolong the proceedings.
I think what we're looking at is a kind of a mini trial on the Fani Willis, Nathan Wade affair.
Willis is accused of financially benefiting from hiring Wade despite his purported lack of experience in prosecuting felony cases. Willis has acknowledged the relationship but maintains it began after she hired Wade.
Police say they quickly detained 2 suspects after a shooting that left 1 dead and multiple others injured during the Chiefs Super Bowl parade in Kansas. He was 96. This is USA News.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers you've ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real, aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection Flight for just $79.99. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code TREAT at checkout to get an extra $20 off your order, plus free shipping. You'll get 4 of each pure ground burger, so you can sample all the